Good morning dear students, welcome to Genesis. Well, today we are going to start the chapter flower. Well, flower तो हम सबको पसंद है, but हम हमेशा इसे pluck करते वक्त भूल जाते हैं कि this is the reproductive part of a plant. So every time when you indiscriminately pluck flower, you are actually preventing the flower from further helping the plant in the process of reproduction. So let's understand how. Well, the reproductive structure of a flowering plant is the flower, and it is a specialized shoot in which the leaves are the modified floral parts. अब समझ में आया? जो leaves होते हैं एक plant के, वो जब modify हो जाते हैं, they modify to form structures like flower, and the purpose of the flower is only reproduction. So now let's study more about the structure of a flower. जब भी हम किसी flower के structure के बारे में पढ़ते हैं, the first structure from the base that comes into is called the stalk. Stalk जिसके ऊपर flower sit करता है. So it is kind of a neck region. It is also known as pedicel. Remember one thing, its main function is to provide support to the flower, and it also gets enlarged sometimes to form a structure which is known as the receptacle. So अगर इस structure को देखें, so this neck area is called stalk, but here this stalk has also enlarged to form another structure which is called receptacle. The flowers के पास क्या stalk होता है? Not necessarily so. So if a flower has a stalk, then we call it pedicellate flower, and if a flower lacks a stalk, then हम उसे कहते हैं sessile flower. Example of pedicellate flower जो common flowers हमें दिखते हैं like hibiscus and rose, whereas of sessile flower example है tuberose, wheat and rice. Now when you observe a flower from top, we find there are 4 layers in a flower, and these layers are called whorls. So the 4 whorls of a flower are arranged like this when they are observed from top. The outermost one is called calyx. The second to calyx is known as corolla. Then next is androecium, which is the whorl comprising of the male part of the flower, and inner to this is gynoecium, is the whorl that comprises of female part of the flower. Now let us see what are the individual units that form the whorl. Calyx is made up of individual units that are called sepals. Sepals are usually green in color, and their main function is to protect the bud before it blossoms into a flower. Remember, this is the outermost whorl of a flower. The second one is called corolla, and the individual units of this whorl, they are known as petals. They are beautiful, they are attractively colored, and there is a reason behind it. Their main reason is to attract pollinating agents. That is why they are colorful. Third to it is androecium. This is the male part of the flower. Now androecium is made up of units called stamen, and each stamen has 2 parts. So I am telling many such stamen together will form androecium, and now let us see what is this stamen made up of. The upper part is a lobed part which is called anther, followed by a thread-like structure known as filament. The fourth and the innermost whorl is called gynoecium. The name only suggests you that this is the female part of the flower. What is it made up of? It is made up of carpel. If there is only one, then we call it carpel. If there are fused structures of 1 or 2 carpels, then we use the term pistil. But totally the whorl is known as gynoecium. Now one carpel again is made up of 3 subparts. The uppermost part is called the stigma, followed by a neck region that is called style, and then followed by an enlarged region which is known as ovary. So we now know the 4 whorls of a flower. The outermost is calyx, followed by corolla, then androecium, and then gynoecium. Out of these, androecium and gynoecium, they are known as essential whorls. Why do we call them essential whorls? Because they directly participate in the process of reproduction. Whereas calyx and corolla, because they are mainly protective and their main function is to attract pollinating agents, we call them non-essential whorls. In a flower, if all the 4 whorls are present, then we call such flower as complete flower. But if it lacks any 1 or 2 whorls, then we call such flowers as incomplete flowers. Now let us understand few more terms that are often used to describe a flower. एक term है जिसे कहा जाता है tepal. Tepal is that condition where the sepal of a flower and the petal of a flower is fused to form one structure. Such a structure will be called tepal, and that condition, अगर किसी flower में हमें tepals दिखते हैं तो हम उस flower को कहते हैं the flower is exhibiting perianth condition. Now on the basis of this condition there are two kinds of flowers. Okay, see, we all know कि sepal of a flower is always green and the petal is non-green or colorful. So अगर जो tepal by fusion of the sepal and petal बना, if it is green in color, so it looks like the sepal. Under such condition उस flower को बोला जाता है sepaloid because they are green, they have green tepals. On the other hand, अगर fusion के बाद जो structure बना it is colorful or it is non-green, then we call it petaloid. Then such flowers are petaloid and they will have non-green tepals. Next is bract. Bract is basically that axil of a leaf-like structure जहाँ से कभी कभार flower originate करते हैं. Often ऐसे flowers को देख के हम confuse हो जाते हैं कि which is the flower because the flower is surrounded by leaf-like structures. Example of which is bougainvillea. Bougainvillea का main flower अंदर रहता है and it is surrounded by purple leaf-like structures. Those are not leaves. Basically that is a bract condition और ऐसे flower को bracteate flower कहा जाता है. Another structure that is often seen in a flower because we know that flowers produce nectar to attract pollinating agents. In structures को कहा जाता है nectaries. Nectaries are nothing but nectar secreting cell. What you must know is the location of nectaries. Nectaries या तो pistil which is the female part of a flower के base में होता है या it is at the base of the petals. Example of a flower with nectaries is nasturtium. Now let us understand sexuality of a flower. See, depending on the presence or the absence of essential wools, Androecium and Gynoecium, flowers can be primarily grouped under three categories. Number one, bisexual flowers, which are also called hermaphrodite. In such flowers, both the essential wools are present. That means Androecium as well as Gynoecium, apart from calyx and corolla. Examples of which are hibiscus, rose, lily and tomato. The second category is of unisexual flower, which are also called imperfect or incomplete flowers because such flowers will either have Androecium or Gynoecium. So in those flowers both Androecium and Gynoecium will never be present together. Examples: palm and papaya. See, two examples. The plant body will either contain male part or the female part. So there is either a male plant papaya or a female papaya plant. Similarly, a male palm plant or a female palm plant. If the flower contains the male part, then that flower will be called a staminate flower. So there can be a staminate papaya flower, there can be a staminate palm flower, or if it contains the female part, then we call it a pistillate flower. So there can be a pistillate papaya flower or a pistillate palm flower. The last category is neuter category, and in this category the flower will lack both Androecium and Gynoecium. Example of which is ray florets of sunflower. See, sunflower itself is a composite flower. That means it is made up of many flowers together, not one flower, and it is divided into two parts. The inner part is called disc floret and the outer part is called the ray floret. So the flowers which comprise the ray floret, they are sterile. They cannot help the plant in reproduction. Their main purpose is to attract the pollinating agent so that they can come and cause transfer of pollen grains in the inner part of sunflower, which is known as the disc floret. So with this I finish today's class. I have one question for you. What are those leaf-like structures present at the base of a flower called? And what are such flowers known as? If you know the answer, write down in the comment box. Thank you. Share my channel with your friends and do not forget to revise.